Hello. Do you like Helldivers? Do you enjoy role-playing as a super patriot with funny guns? Do you like defying all odds and snatching away a glorious victory from the jaws of death and defeat? Do you hate fascist robots and freedom-hating bugs? Well then, you have clicked on the right video. Because there absolutely is a faction of freedom-loving, bug-hating, bot-killing, ultra-patriotic, very squishy, and readily available men and women willing to give their lives for Super Earth, or rather the Emperor. In this video, we shall explore the hammer of the Emperor, the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard. But before I delve any deeper into this topic, if you're interested in more content like this, please support the channel by leaving a like if you enjoyed the video, or if you find it at all useful. This little thing makes or breaks small channels like mine, so it would mean the world to me if you interacted with this video by commenting or even liking. And if you're interested with keeping up with the goings on with the channel, feel free to subscribe. We are currently at 99, so I'd absolutely appreciate some feedback on what I should do for the 100 subscriber special. Yippee, look at me, mommy, I'm a big YouTuber, man. And most of all, thank you so much for watching. Your view really helps, and it means the world to me. The Imperial Guard is comprised of men and women who have naught but flak armor, a flashlight, and a dream. Brave souls who die for the billions every day battling the darkest and most depraved horrors of the galaxy. Unlike Space Marines or Custodes, the forces of the Guard are not a quality over quantity type army. Which means that the Soviet meme of 2 guys, 1 guns very much applies in most battles, as one guy carries the gun out of the trench, and the other guy behind him picks it up and uses it after he gets brutally maimed by some corn berserker. Poor guy. This is the main appeal to players who are interested in the Imperial Guard. You're very much playing one of the most brutal armies, which reflects the views of the Imperium best in game and in lore. Sprinkled with special officers, abhuman support squads, and totally glazed in heavily armored vehicles. The main appeal of the Astra Militarum is absolutely the back-breakingly high casualty games you're gonna play. In the lore, the Imperial Guard is easily the most numerous of all Imperium armies, with literally countless regiments scattered across the million worlds that lie in jeopardy within the borders of the Imperium. In all war zones, the Guard brave the most wretched of foes with a stoic demeanor and insane amounts of friendly fire. I'm talking crazy, coming both from the commissars and the people the commissar pissed off. As a wise man once said, I do not waste lives, but I am not afraid to spend them. Shit, that's a typo. This is a motto the Guard sometimes live, but mainly die by, which is, it hopefully gives you some perspective on the general vibe for this army. Additionally, there also exists a branch of the Imperial Guard, which is the more well-trained variant of guardsmen, and is also the source for much displeasure among older fans of the Guard. The Tempestus Scions exist not as a separate single regiment, but more as an elite variant of Guard that themselves are organized with their own regiments, who go to a far more elite school and become that thing. Additionally, Guardsmen regiments are further broken down into different chains of command, with line officers, tank commanders, and the officio perfectus existing separate from one another and issuing orders only to the men in the platoon which they command. The reason for this being so that no single man could have complete command over an entire Astra Militarum regiment, and thus the might of not only multiple thousands of men, possibly even millions, but armored vehicle and artillery squadrons, heavy infantry formations, and artillery regiments. During the heresy, the Imperium experienced firsthand just how much power a single traitor officer could wield with access to the full might of the Astra Militarum, and thus onward, the Astra Militarum's power, much like the Space Marines, is heavily subdivided for the safety of the Imperium. The regiments themselves also vary wildly in heraldry, fighting styles, the whole shebang, the gabagoo, which gives a certain flavor to each individual regiment. For example, the Catachan jungle fighters come from the death world of Catachan, in which only the strongest can survive, and thus the jungle fighters are some of the strongest guardsmen in the Imperium. Likewise, the Cadians come from the fortress world of Cadia. Or rather, came from the Cadia, freaking, bodied by a Blackstone fortress, lol. As the world's valued soldiers, the military, above literally everything else. The guardsmen of Cadia are some of the most well-trained since they are natural-born soldiers. You get the idea. Each regiment has its own special flavor and unique plot twists. From the icy Valhallans to the fan-favorite Kriegers. Yeah, my favorite. If there is anything the Astra Militarum has, it's variety. The Guard always use their variety to push back against the enemies of man, as it is the key to their success. Since no single officer can command all aspects of the Militarum, and in reality, not many officers would be able to handle that much finagling of front lines. Not everyone's fucking Gilliman. Multiple different responsibilities are delegated to different officers, which all try their best to help each other so they may yet live to fight another day. Tank commanders might be ordered to push forward deep into enemy territory, whilst, an infantry platoon or a few hundred men are tasked with clearing out the buildings and rubble for possible ambushes. Ambush? I am losing my mind. All the while, artillery is raining down ahead to thin out the oncoming attack. Cohesion and cooperation is the backbone of any reliable Guard army, and without one another, each and every guardsman would be nothing more than corpses. But don't mistake this for compassion. Just because they have to work together doesn't mean that they care. Regular folks often break off into desperation when faced with a Lovecraftian horror, which might just mean ditching you behind or shelling your exact position. Additionally, if you're not being in a manner befitting a guardsman in front of a commissar, your local democracy officer, yeah, they might just blow out your brains for some extra motivation. The mentality is less of a care for your fellow man more than it is work together or die together. It's like GTFO. I'll also dive further into the details of individual regiments in another video, another day. But for now, that should be most of the basics covered. Big old horde army, and lots of casualties, given their lore and vibe. How do they play in the tabletop? Great question. Well, as of a few weeks before the release of this video, which is when the script is being written, the Astra Militarum are a ranged horde army with some nice and sizable elite units to help them out, including but not limited to Chimeras, Basilisks, Leman Russes, Rogaldorns, and all of the Baneblade variants. Savory. Pair this with some Sentinels, Ogrins, maybe some Kazarkans, maybe not Tempestus Scions, and you quickly find yourself with a sizable army that can just about manage anything. Their army rule of voice of command makes this army overall quite flexible and capable of most things. Models with the officer keyword are eligible to hand out orders to eligible units within 6 inches of that officer. Each datasheet also explicitly states which order that officer can give and how many orders that officer can give. For example, Platoon Command Squad can issue 1 order to a regiment keyword unit. However, Tank Commander can issue 1 order to a squadron unit. The Tank Commander cannot issue an order to the regiment unit. The Platoon Command Squad cannot issue an order to the squadron unit. The orders all apply for a different situation. They're all equally useful in positioning your army or having them go around and do what they have to do around the board. A nice example of this being Cadian Castellan ordering the take cover order to a friendly Cadian shock troop units that is currently out of cover. Useful, right? Pair this with the combined regiment detachments rule, which gives regiments units the lethal hits ability against attacks that target units that are not vehicles or monsters, and lethal hit to squadrons that, or squadron units that do target vehicles and monsters. And you'll have yourself a nifty army that's able to squeeze out some damage on 5-ups to wound. If you didn't catch that, pretty much everything has lethal hits, but only infantry can shoot at infantry, and only vehicles at vehicles. That's the lines that the rules apply. Vehicles, the Guard are a death by 1,000 shots army that really is only capable of doing damage if it comes in large enough sample sizes. This isn't hard. Infantry can fire over, what, 20 guys and then pair with the first rank. That can be up to 60 shots coming from a squad. Of course, this is not the only unit you can field. However, do not underestimate the humble Guardsman infantry squad. As given the right setup and loadout, it can fuck shit up. The Astra Militarum boasts a fucking large variety of options with almost every squad, being able to bring 2 heavy weapons team and 2 special weapons in a 20-man squad and have 2 leader units attached to it. Or rather, 2 sergeants. Yeah, this squad is the backbone of most Guardsman armies, as their sheer ability to do is fucking nuts. In case I haven't already said it enough, your army is extremely flexible. If there's a task that needs to be done, there will most likely be a unit up to the job. That is apart from melee. Because yes, you have a shit ton of guys, but they're just regular John Does against some of the most horrifying things the galaxy has to offer, 99% of which could easily fold you like an omelet, which means even if you are flexible, unless you brought some Bograns in your army, if something gets a little too close, maybe it's time to goddamn scramble. Second only to Space Marine in unit options. Did I say that right? Yeah. The Imperial Guard also have a relatively large unit roster featuring a wide catalog of units with their own nifty units, nifty uses, and by God, loads and loads of loadout options. Some main units to bring in your army are your aforementioned Guardsmen infantry squads, or Acadian infantry squad, or commissars and platoon command squads, or the Acadian command squad, the Castellan, or tank commander. I know, Linus, or Maximus, or Sentinel, or something like, you get the idea. When it comes to unit options and tank variants, the Guard has them by spades. Which leads me to the last point. Boy howdy, are you in for a treat if you're going with Cadians, because the Cadians have had a fucking glow up. The glow up of the century. They are John Glow Up, because in the last edition they came out with some brand new models and units to make the army look even better than it ever has before. Plus, with the new Death Corps of Kriegsbrew and the Gaunt's Ghost kit, you can have yourself a fantastic few models, or model kits, to either assemble as per the instructions or use for kit bashes in, I don't know, custom regiments, modified regiments, paint them differently, doesn't matter. However, if you're going to play a regiment which has an aesthetic that is different from just flak armor, trench coats, gas masks, well then good luck, sir, because they are fucking old. Plus, since this is a horde army, they're still expensive as shit to collect. However, if you have the funding and, like, I don't know, the US's military budget behind you and the motivation to assemble an army of hardened soldiers, brave heroes, who each and every one of them would be willing to give down their lives in the name of the Emperor, sir. Right? If you can't tell, I have like 100 hours in Helldivers right now. If you want an army of mortal men to challenge the worst the universe has to throw at you, and an army to stand against the dying of the light, to rage against the hungry void, in their droves to die in honor, because your eyes hate you, then the Imperial Guard is for you. Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. If you liked it, then feel free to subscribe. It would help out the channel so much and push me over that 100 subscriber limit. I never dreamed I'd get 100 subscribers. I thought these videos would be just like nerdy rants, like some schizophrenic kid in the basement yapping. But hey, presto. Hopefully we can get to that 500 mark and get monetized, and I can keep making more of these. So yeah. Once again, feel free to like if you enjoyed it or if you found it useful, and comment down below if I should paint a model for the 100 subscribers. Or no, do something else that doesn't end in criminal charges.